So it finally happened. Cometary impact, massive asteroid, global pandemic, thermonuclear war, coronal mass ejection, EMP. I don't know what it was, but it finally happened. Those doomsday preppers, the crazy ones, turns out they were right after all. Still crazy, mind you, but turns out they were right. And you were unprepared. So now you're wandering around in the wasteland looking for food. And you realize if you don't start growing some soon, you're probably going to die of starvation. But all you got to work with is the odd potato that you found kicked under the bin at the supermarket after everything else has been picked through. Some dusty old seeds lying in a pantry somewhere that the mice overlooked somehow. And this is all you've got. The question you've got to be asking yourself is, can I plant that? 6 months ago, we embarked on a journey to discover what you could plant out of the supermarket or about the bottom of your pantry. 6 months later, we're ready to share our results. We began with potatoes. Okay, let's start with the potatoes. That was the first episode that we did, and we planted the Pontiac red potatoes. We got a few. Most of them were pretty small. Some of them, like this one, is a little oddly shaped, but fairly decent size. Actually, this has got eyes on it. It's ready to plant again. They didn't turn out as well as I would have liked. I planted a little bit early. We got some frost damage, but we got some potatoes out of it. So potatoes, check. Yeah, you can grow store-bought potatoes. Next up, we tried planting some celery and fennel at a jar, kind of like this one, and also a fresh, ripe bell pepper from the supermarket. Well, celery and fennel didn't work out so well. I tried a couple different methods to grow them, and they just didn't succeed in taking off and growing. These little seeds that we use for seasoning, they don't have a whole lot of starch or fat in them to begin with, so the seed doesn't have a whole lot of fuel to get going. And if the seeds aren't fresh, you may not have a whole lot of success being able to sprout them. I'm not saying that you can't, but the tests that I did, I could not get those seeds to sprout and grow. I managed to get the initial root to come out, but they just didn't have the strength to keep going. Now the pepper, on the other hand, worked great. I got 6 seedlings started, and I wound up giving those away, so I can't show them to you, but I do have this. Like that little cut there? Okay, so this is a Yellow L Wonder bell pepper that I grew from seed that I got from the seed company in the backyard. This is the reason why I gave away those pepper seedlings. I've got the sweet peppers in the back, and I've got the cayenne peppers in the front. And I didn't want to accidentally cross-pollinate anything, so keeping them socially distanced seemed to be the best way to do it. This one, of course, is the Yellow L Wonder sweet pepper. It's red and ripe and ready to harvest seed from, so I'll get some seed for next year from these. Yay! They had bad frost damage too, but they managed to pull through. What was up next? Let's take a look. Next up on our list of hits was the Anasazi bean. Now this was a great story because the original story behind the Anasazi beans was they were found in the 1950s around Mesa Verde, sealed up in a jar. Could have been hundreds of years old in that cave, sealed up in the jar before the archaeologists found them. They got a wild hair and decided, hey, let's see if we can get these puppies to sprout. And they did, and they actually have beans that are from that ancient people that lived around Mesa Verde hundreds, thousands of years ago. And I had a bag that we got somewhere around 2007. Well, we got it in 2007, but we don't know how old it was before then. So over 13-year-old beans that we'd had sitting in the pantry. An excellent test to see if they would sprout and grow. And they didn't do really well, but I did manage to get a few plants to actually start growing. And if they were fresh, of course, we would have had much better success. Here's the results. So some of these are still green, so I'm not quite ready to pull the bean pulled down, although I did get the stakes pulled out. But this is the Anasazi bean here on the end. I have a different type of bean growing down this row, but let's crack these open and have a look. This is the end result of growing those Anasazi beans from, oh, there's still a bean in there, from the bottom of the pantry. Exactly what the program is about, growing it from the bottom of the pantry. Found sources. There we go, there's a couple of bean pods. Let me get a picture of these for you. There we go. It's Anasazi beans grown from the package. So next up we had popcorn and chickpeas, and this is the popcorn right here. Well, what there is to show of it. Once I realized that it wasn't really doing that well, I let it go, so the weeds have taken over. But they did form little ears. Yes, they did, and we did get 1 or 2 kernels out of these tiny little ears. But the plant's only ever made it to about 3 foot tall. I was thinking, yeah, knee-high by the 4th of July. We got knee-high by the 4th of July, and that's all we got. They just stopped right there. But look there, there's a few kernels here. I wouldn't call this a raging success, but the seeds did sprout, they did grow, they did produce after their own kind. This, of course, is popcorn that we got from this sad little plot. Alright, and there are popcorn that we got from planting them out of the bag from the supermarket. Alright, next up I tried planting some chickpeas out of those little 1-pound bags that you can get at the dollar store or from the regular grocery store. I get them wherever I can find them because I love chickpeas. But it turns out they grow really well here in northeastern Oklahoma. These, of course, we planted from seed. Whenever the plant was done, I pulled up the entire thing and brought them in to dry. That way we can harvest them at our leisure. But we have, on this one plant alone, I've already picked off a couple of pods, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21. Okay, there's a bunch of pods on here, and each one of these has 1 to 2 little chickpeas in it. I'm just going to open up a couple here. To show you. Most of them, like this pod here, only had the 1 pea in it. Oh, let's not drop that. Some of them had 2. As it turns out, chickpeas can germinate at very low temperatures. 40 degrees Fahrenheit, not bad, huh? Get these started early. And there we have some of the chickpeas that we grew right there in the front yard. So the next segment we did was on store-bought ginger. Now we had to do some special stuff with it. We had to take it, we had to soak it, change out the water a couple times to get any growth inhibitor off of it, because they put a growth inhibitor on it before it's put out to the supermarket. That way it doesn't start sprouting in the supermarket. But with that growth inhibitor, it won't sprout for you and grow for you in the garden either. So soak it, change out the water. You can watch the video and I'll show you how we did that. But let's take a look at the results and see what we got. I'm kind of excited because I haven't dug this up yet. I don't know what we're dealing with. So let's take the camera over and have a look at the ginger, which would be a perennial if our climate was warm enough, but this is only zone 7A, so we have to bring the roots in whenever the leaves die off in the fall. Otherwise, we'll lose the plant. So let's go take a look. All right, here we are. This is the plot with ginger. As you can see, the plants, the greens are starting to turn brown, brown. This is almost completely brown. That means the plant is done for the season. Let's go ahead and get in here and dig one of these up and see. Well, let's see what we got. Got some weeds here I need to take care of. Okay, after pulling up some weeds here, we've got our ginger plant, and I'm just going to pull this mulch layer back a bit all around for starters. So I don't want to damage the roots if I can help it. If I recall correctly, this plant was placed just on the surface layer of the soil So it's mostly mulch over the top. And oh, there's a little shoot of ginger right there. Oh wow, that's nice. Fresh ginger. Get in here, loosen up underneath. That looks good. If I recall correctly, we started out with 4 little pups, little plants that we got started, and we wound up with 4. This is just one of them. The root kind of separated up into different segments. So this is one of those 4 pups after growing produced all of this root action here, and you can see it's quite a bit different from what it looks like whenever you get it at the grocery store. Let me bring this in close. There's a world of difference between fresh ginger. There's a world of difference between fresh ginger and that old nasty dried stuff you get at the store. Have a look at that. It's still green there. A little red. That's spanking new, brand spanking new, fresh ginger. We're going to go ahead and bring this indoors so we can keep those roots alive throughout the winter. We'll get some pups started in the spring and plant more in the spring. Isn't that wonderful? All right, there's ginger from store-bought ginger. Now last we did black-eyed peas. I was planning on doing some peanuts too from bird feeder peanuts, the whole peanuts from bird feeders, but unfortunately other things came up. I never got around to getting that done. But here is some black-eyed peas, which grew in the space right behind me here in the front yard, and just like the chickpeas, like I did with the regular field peas earlier on in the year, I pulled the entire plant up whenever it was done with its life cycle, allowed it to dry. That means I can come in during the cold months whenever there's nothing else to do outside and pick these pods off and shuck them out, and I can have something to do indoors, nice indoor activity. Probably won't bore you with hours upon hours of shelling black-eyed peas, but wow, look at this. There's a lot of black-eyed peas in this one pod. That's a small one. Let me take this one. There we go. Throw those in my pocket. What are there? 8 to 10, even more, of these little peas in each pod. Let's get a close-up look at those. There we have black-eyed peas grown from seed, from the bag, from the supermarket. Well, good people, that's all I've got for you today. As always, if you found the video informative or entertaining, please hit the like button. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, share this video, and good people, I will catch you next time.